Hello and welcome to another episode of Movies That Make Us. I'm Jake.
I'm Tracy.
And I'm Val.
I just feel like you're okay, Val.
Guess what I just did? I'm really okay.
Okay.
I just got tickets to the Red Sox Yankees game in Boston.
Wow.
Oh,
I've never seen either of them play. I've never been to that field.
Yeah, and the Yankees are like unbelievably good this year. Not just Yankees good, they're like unbelievably good from what I understand. So that should be a good game. And that's always a good rivalry. That's exciting. Big Green Monster at Fenway Park.
And I'm a huge baseball fan, but that's cool.
I'm just excited about like experiences, and so I'll be in Boston, which means I got to get like the Red Sox gear
like
when
Americana.
I go. Yeah.
When are you going?
Going to Boston next month. So
okay.
Yeah.
I've heard Boston's a cool city. I've never been.
I've been there one day and I did the Freedom Trail. And it took the whole day and it was beautiful and amazing. And we ate our way like through the town. And so the fact that I get to be there a week now, I'm super excited about it.
That's cool. Yeah. That is cool.
Yeah.
Is this for a convention thing that you're working, or is it?
Yeah, I'm going for work. So it's a Fan Expo Boston.
Okay.
So cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. I feel like Fan Expo this year, all the ones that have been popping up, it's like the Hobbits tour, because I feel
it
like
is.
Hobbits have been
No, they've had them.
Make me jealous at all.
They've had a Hobbit experience at almost every single event. And I have some stories that I can tell you both off the air about said hobbits and some liquor incidences. But that's all I'm gonna say here.
All right.
Wow. All right. No. Too bad we don't have like an after show. Premium content for subscribers only.
I need to keep my jobs.
Well, I mean, you've snuggled with Billy Boyd on the couch before, so
he snuggled with me, and I leaned in. So, like, I leaned into that. That's what that means, right? When they're like lean into it. Like, if I have Billy Boyd like lay down on my lap, I'm gonna lean into it. And it was like it was intimate with like 4,000 people watching.
Yeah, it was one of the best live moments I've ever seen. I was so happy I was in that audience.
It was intimate with 4,000 other people. It's fine. For some people, that's the intimacy they want. I'm just saying,
like, if there was an audience, it may have been weird, right? Just to have a random hobbit like lay on your lap and start like therapy with you. Right. But because we had a lot of people there, I didn't know what to do. I'll have to find the link and share it on our Facebook page, but because it is on the YouTube. But yeah, so I'll be actually now. I know I keep saying I'm going to do it, but I really am going to do it. I'm going to be going to some big conventions this year.
You are.
And I am going to share some of that on our social media, probably on our Instagram. New York Comic Con, C2E2, D23.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, all the big ones. Dragon Con,
San Diego Comic Con. San Diego is going to be interesting because I'm doing it as a vendor and not as like working for the company itself. And so I'm going to get a little bit of a more different experience, and I'm going to be on the vendor floor most of the time, which I think is going to be really cool.
You're pretty close to the Lucasfilms booth too.
I'm pretty close to a lot of cool things. One of my friends freaked out because I'm close to like a video game booth, and I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know about that stuff, but sure.
Well, I think that's what's exciting about the big ones like San Diego Comic Con and New York Comic Con. Like their vendor floor has those cool booths, and you know, I enjoy what we have here in Salt Lake, but
it's not
stuff like that would be really cool.
The anime convention, the Anime Expo, was huge. I didn't get to be on the vendor floor very often because I was just working like crazy and it was full. But the costumes were amazing. I wish I knew who these characters were. Like they all looked familiar. And I'm just like, you look awesome. There were some there's like random crayon people, but they weren't like American crayons. These were anime crayons. I don't know what they were, but they were a little creepy. I've learned about the Maid Cafe, which that's an interesting place to be.
A maid cafe.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds like that's an after.
I'll figure it out later. Don't worry about it.
We'll Google it.
But thank you so much for letting me do one of my favorite movies today. It's another one where it is the
right.
The Day After Tomorrow.
And this one, it actually is the, as opposed to Gladiator, where
Ohio State.
I double checked as I was looking it up and getting ready. I was like, is it Day After Tomorrow or the Day After Tomorrow? But it is the Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's funny because this is the second episode in a row, and we didn't plan it this way, of a Roland.
I don't think we've ever done the same director back to back.
Yeah,
well, and but it was on purpose because it was like a month of that director.
Oh, true.
And I think it was we talked about it in our last episode, and when you were like, "Hey, what movie should we do?" It was already implanted in there, from the last episode, and I was like, "We haven't talked about this." I've brought it up a few times, but we've never done a full episode on it. So I appreciate you letting me talk because I love action movies. I love sports action movies. I love sports disaster movie or action disaster movies. Not
sports disaster movies.
Space so $1 Million Baby. You love that one. Sports disaster. Yeah. Before we get into the movie, though, we do have to plug really quick Brewvies on July 21st. Sharknado. We want to see everybody there. Tickets at the door, $15. That gets you a raffle ticket. It also gets you in the door. We have 150 or so tickets that are available, so please come down. We want to fill the theater, and we've got some cool prizes to raffle off. We've got an autographed football from the University of Utah head coach Kyle Whittingham. We have $600 in tattoo gift certificate from Dave. Val's Dave.
Sleeping behind that wall. Sleeping behind that
wall as we speak. We have, all sorts of stuff.
We got a spa day at home basket that was donated. I've got some interesting local authors have donated some books. We've got studio movie memorabilia that Val's donating. We got some great stuff. We've got 2 FanX passes for Thursday, as well as signed photos of Ian and Tara.
And some original artwork from friend of the program.
Yes, Thomas Estrada. Estrada is sending some art from the Road to El Dorado that he worked on. So
wow.
That'll be really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, and then you have a new Sharknado picture that you were showing. Is that going to be part of the raffle as well?
It's part digital.
Or is that just yours?
It's not really something I can sell or raffle because it was.
Isn't it NTF?
No. Though it should be.
Because you can sell those for a lot of money.
Because part of it was hand drawn, part of it was just done on the computer. So there's not really a print, but it is cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
It is very, very cool.
As the main hero, and it's a cool picture.
Yeah.
So come support a bad movie for a good cause. July 21st, 7 p.m. Everything goes to American Cancer Society. I will be representing them and raising money for them. So that's exciting.
Yay.
All right. So now let's talk about the Day After Tomorrow. Not Wednesday, but the movie.
Okay.
Now, this is one of those, I love Dennis Quaid. And for a while there, Dennis Quaid was like the it man, right? And then he had a little break. And then this movie, he came back.
Dennis Quaid's in Miracle.
No. Isn't he?
No,
that's Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's early.
But he was in The Rookie, which I think came out around the same time from Disney.
Yeah. Yes.
But there was like a time period in my youth where Dennis Quaid was in everything, right? he was the it man, and then he had a little bit of a break, and then this movie came out and everybody was like, oh yeah, Dennis Quaid's cool, why don't we still have him and stuff? And I feel like this movie, when it came out, people just kind of thought, like this isn't anything, and then it's become like a cult classic. I really, really like this film, even though it has Jake Gyllenhaal in it. I don't hold it against the movie. I still really enjoy the movie.
Should we hold it against the movie that it has Jake Gyllenhaal? Not a fan, huh?
When the Gyllenhaal shows up,
fan.
I call him the Gyllenhaal, and when he shows up, I'm either gonna really like the movie because he disappears into his character and I don't really recognize him, or him and his big head is there all the time and I can't stop noticing him.
Well, for a good portion of this one, though, I think what helps is he does wear like his hood over his head, so it's not as noticeable.
And I'm not against big heads. All three of us, we have big heads. I'm just gonna say, like, we're a big head crew, right? We could be human bobbleheads sometimes. But the Gyllenhaal, for me, it's just that sometimes, you know how you have those actors that never. No, we're cute. We're cute.
We're cute big heads. It's fine.
No, almost every big actor in Hollywood that gets paid the big money, they have large heads.
This is interesting because I'm glad you're clarifying, because I know when we've talked about Batman, the Batman and Robert Pattinson, you've said it's required that Batman has a big head.
Yeah.
And so it's not necessarily distracting, but for some reason with Jake Gyllenhaal, With
the Gyllenhaal, it's the fact that there are some actors, and Julia Roberts fits into this category, but we understand that that's who she is as an actress. You're never not going to see Julia Roberts in a role. You're always going to see a little bit of Julia. And you either love that about her or you hate that about her, right? Mm-hmm. And with Jake Gyllenhaal, I feel like sometimes he can really disappear into a character, and that's when he's amazing. But when he's just on the surface, Spider-Man, I can't. With this one, he's so new. Yeah, he's just a cute little baby. He's a little baby Gyllenhaal. That I don't mind it. I don't mind this one at all. And I think it's funny because Emmy Rossum is just a little baby. This is all before we see all of her.
I'm surprised she hasn't become a bigger name, because she's very talented.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now I'm connecting more dots in my head. Roland Emmerich, 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row that we've had a Quaid brother movie.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Dennis and Randy.
Uh-huh.
I prefer Dennis, I think.
After Dennis, I like better than Randy. Yes.
I preferred him before I watched this movie last night.
It was like, I'm on the fence.
I'm on the fence. Randy, Dennis, Dennis for sure.
All right.
Dennis, No. So this is a very interesting movie because of the time that it comes out in 2004, and this is right when the whole, like, we've always been talking about environmentalism and things like that. All through the 90s they talk about, I mean, we've got Jeff Goldblum in Independence Day, who's an environmentalist nut and things like that, but global warming really enters the zeitgeist around this time. I mean, you've got The Inconvenient Truth from Al Gore and things like that really kind of brought it in the forefront. And this, I think, is a movie that tried to capitalize on that. But like you said, Val, at the time, I don't think it was the big hit that they thought it was going to be.
It was the top grossing movie that never hit number one.
That's something. It's consistently okay.
It also came out on a big year of like big hits and big misses.
Yeah.
Like you have The Village that came out, The Mechanist that came out, Secret Window, which I don't care for that movie. I know a lot of people love it. The Notebook, Wimbledon, which it's a horrible movie that I love to watch. I, Robot, Catwoman, The Punisher. and Ray. Like all of these movies came out the same year. Yeah.
That's a very eclectic mix.
And The Day After Tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah. So 2004 wasn't a particularly strong year for movies then.
also National Treasure. Sorry.
All right.
So really, for The Day After Tomorrow, the top grossing movie that never hit number one in a year of weaker movies, it's kind of like when the Jazz went to the NBA Finals on the shortened NBA season and then lost to the Bulls. Yeah.
I'll take your word for it. I don't know.
All right. Well, but here's what I will say, and I'm going to put it out there right off the bat. We haven't graded it yet, and we're not going to do that till the end, but I liked this one more than I liked Independence Day. I thought it was a better movie than Independence Day.
I'm going to get the hate mail.
I mean, just another Tuesday. I mean, Monday. Just another Monday. So I enjoyed it, and I think that I watch it probably more than I watch Independence Day. Like if you were to say, hey, these are both streaming right now, pick between one or the other, I would choose this one, and only because I feel like Independence Day, as much as it is fun, I feel like it was a bigger risk to do The Day After Tomorrow. Like pitch that movie and get it made. You know what I mean? Like it's a little bit of a hard pitch, but I also think some of the things that they did in the movie were really visually cool. I know we could totally outdo them now, but at the time, visually cool. There are certain scenes in this movie that I love, like the one that I sent you guys when you said, what movie do you want to talk about? And it's when the cold is coming up the flagpole and it just freezes the American flag in place. Like, so cool.
Well, go ahead, Chase. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, when you said the hard pitch, Val, I mean, this was at a time too where a lot of people were still debating and were still questioning whether or not global warming or global climate change was actually happening and if we could do anything about it. And then it was widely mocked a lot. And then when you have this movie based on a book by Art Bell, the late night radio talk show host that does UFOs talk, when it's based on that book, that's a hard sell.
A lot to unpack in your statement there, Tracy, for me real quick. Number one, I think it's really funny that you say this was back when people still kind of debated whether climate change was a real thing.
It's still happening.
It's quite a bit.
Accepted now.
It is more accepted now.
At the time, it was like a fringe were warning about it, and the majority of people were like, meh.
And then Art Bell, my grandpa was a huge Art Bell fan. We would go up to Idaho and he would listen to Art Bell and tell us about all of his crazy theories all the time. And I was like, what is going on with my grandpa? But I loved it. So I always there's a special place in my heart for Art Bell. Okay. Not like the place where I accept
and there's nothing truth. It's just when you have that guy writing a book about climate change.
Right.
And it's nonfiction, it's just a little
I think part of the problem with climate change, and part of the problem with a lot of things today, and I'm not going to try to go too deep into this because we are a movie show, not a politics show. But I think part of the problem is anytime you have a polarizing political figure kind of start spearheading your effort, I think that makes it a political issue right off the bat. And with Al Gore being really kind of the first, Inconvenient Truth was the first time that I remember that being in the mainstream consciousness, and immediately you're going to have a lot of people turn it off because it's who it is.
Right.
And I think that's part of the difficulty with everything, but anyway.
No, I agree with that. Absolutely.
So this
but Art Bell is usually on the other side of the spectrum. So that's kind of weird.
Yeah. Anyway. Dennis Quaid is this scientist and
aleoclimatologist.
Aleoclimatologist, and his ex-wife is a nurse. And
cancer nurse?
Yeah, cancer nurse, and they have a son who is Jake Gyllenhaal. Gyllenhaal. He wasn't the Gyllenhaal yet. He was still just little cute Jake Gyllenhaal in this movie. And he is going on this school trip to do a competition for nerds. He's a nerd. And they're academic nerd. They're in New York. I mean, this is an awesome trip for, a high school kid. And I don't know if did you guys ever go on trips like as a senior or something with your high school class? I went on a debate trip to Stanford.
I got
my senior year.
A band trip to San Francisco.
I have no memories of going on trips in high school, but my kids, because they go to the deaf school and they do these kind of competitions with other deaf schools, travel a lot. They have points where they go. I mean, they went on 3 or 4 trips last year to different parts of the country. One of them to New York, but it was like upstate New York because that's where I think it was in Rochester where they went.
Cool.
But
cool.
Things like that. So yeah, I don't have those memories. They do, which is good for them.
So during the trip, Dennis Quaid's character has to go to the White House. Of course, like we got to get you in here. We've got to go over this. And I love after
he insults the vice president.
Yeah, I mean,
then he still gets called in. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I love it how they show us as all of this is happening, little shots of scientists like in pockets, doing their thing. And I love all those scientists. It's sad when they die, like
Bilbo doesn't make it.
No, Bilbo, they have to break out the good liquor.
Yeah.
And it's I mean, but you never think about the little people that are out in these little podunk like situations, like thinking about the climate, and it still happens.
Bilbo doesn't make it, and we didn't think about the little people, and I couldn't. I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you, Jake, because I didn't pick that one up. Thank you.
I don't know. They really try and make it like serious, and because there are places in Alaska, there are places in where there are, they live in these little places for a short period of time. They don't see a lot of people because you can't get there very well. And they're out there like trying to figure this stuff out for us as we're like going to see Thor: Love and Thunder and not caring about whatever. And that was a good movie, by the way. But
hopefully we'll see it today.
Yeah. So I just thought they're really trying to like be serious about this movie, which was cool. And then there's just a lot of cool stuff that happens. I mean, hey, we're going to make this movie and we're going to make everything freeze. We're going to make a giant tidal wave hit New York City and come up over the buildings and like destroy everything and then bring this big boat in. And I was just like, the fact that somebody pitched this craziness and got this movie made, I will watch it every time.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Sharknado. Somebody pitched that and made it, so I will watch it.
Pretty sure they made that with their own money.
This is the first time hearing that they made it with money. That's the first time hearing that. So.
Hey, be nice to the franchise that Colin from what used to be Stolen Droids now is Age of Geek. He stars in that movie. I don't know about stars, but he's
stars. That's a big jump from his like 3-second appearance to stars.
News
friends of the show, Colin. He's in it. So
yeah.
So
I think it's both in it. Yeah.
I think it's funny that Val, you say that they're taking climate change seriously, and they are, but then there's so much silly stuff that happens. So like I was reading this morning and it's rated as one of the top 10 most scientifically inaccurate movies of all time.
I mean, like every movie is. However,
I know
the 90% of us that go and watch it have to see something really big and dramatic happen to us to just throw our trash away after the movie. Yeah. Like nobody left this movie. Maybe a half of a person left this movie thinking to themselves, I should recycle. But hopefully more than half of the audience said to themselves, oh, you know what? I'm not going to leave my popcorn here. I'm going to walk it all the way over here and put it in the trash.
And you know
because I don't want New York City to flood.
I hate it when you exit the theater and the trash bin is full and people just keep piling it on top. It's like,
there's another trash bin right out the side of the door. Yeah, anyways, that's a whole nother problem.
I hate when it's stacking up too, so I just leave it at my seat. I'm just kidding. I throw it away every time.
You're keeping people employed.
Well, yeah. The hard thing, I think it's a lot harder to be a movie usher today, cleaning theaters, than it used to be, because of the trend of having the after credit and the mid credit scenes. Because when you've got those movies stacked back to back like you do, you've only got a limited amount of time anyway. And so you loved it when the theater cleared out and the credits were still going, because you could turn the lights on and start cleaning it. And now that's harder to do.
Yeah.
So my heart goes out to the ushers out there. I hear you. I see you. I will throw my garbage in the garbage can and not leave it stacked in the corner. So, I'm
so I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of disaster movies, right? Like, I love the Poseidon Adventure, the Towering Inferno. Love disaster movies.
Sharknado,
you know, but for some reason,
on many levels,
it doesn't quite work for me. I don't. It's hard because there's no like antagonist except for Frost, you know, and so that makes it a little tougher. To me, that's a little rough. Stuff just happens so fast, and some of the stuff, like, I don't care if you're gonna go crazy, like have weird logic, as long as it's consistent. But they're like, if the temperature is dropping 10 degrees per second, and if you go outside, and we see this where a guy just like opens the window and just freezes, and then you've got Dennis Quaid walking around in a parka, and you've got another guy, one of the students, running around in one of those little pullovers, and it's like, you know, at least, okay, maybe doesn't have a ton of scientific heavy duty coats, but at least like see him like piling on some extra clothes or something. There's just some stuff like that.
They burned down a library. Is that not dramatic enough for you? They took some of the books from some of the important books of the world, and they burned them.
U.S. tax code. Burned it.
Normally I'm anti-book burning, but when it comes to your survival, then I'm okay with it. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it was law. Like, when they were like, this is
there was a lot of law books.
Whatever.
Yeah, they went to the boring stuff.
Yeah, go there. We don't. Yeah. I mean, yes, but they did explain like that hadn't hit yet, but I get you. Like, there are a lot of problems with this movie, but we've got to let it go to enjoy it. Just like Top Gun, there are a lot of problems with Top Gun, but I let it go and I enjoy it. Now, I am picky with the movies I do that with, so I get it. I get why somebody would watch this movie and be like, what is this frozen trash? Like, I get it, but
I watched Independence Day and I was able to do that, but for some reason with this film, it just doesn't.
I think for me, so Top Gun to this film is a good comparison as far as that goes, because I think Top Gun sets up right at the beginning when he's testing out that plane that's supposed to get to like Mach 10. But this is ridiculous. Like, what we're watching and what this movie is going to be is ridiculous, right? That scene sets that tone where you're like, okay, I've got to turn my brain off here to just enjoy this. And I know, and they're going for over the top. I think what The Day After Tomorrow does is they try to make it seem this is plausible, this is feasible, and I think then it becomes harder to turn your brain off.
I agree with that.
Even though you know that it's ridiculous and it's over the top, but they want to present it in a way that it's not. And I think with Top Gun, and I think with Independence Day as well, it was over the top from the beginning, and you knew it.
Yeah, I think that's a really valid, that sums up a lot of what I was thinking but not able to say. So thank you, sir.
Oh, well, sure. That's what I'm here for, to sum up what you're thinking. Like,
you don't want to spend too much time up here, buddy.
No, trust me, mine's crazy enough. I don't need to spend it in time in anybody else's headspace. So, but with that being said, it does have
some cool effects. I like the frozen Statue of Liberty. That one is pretty iconic. The wolves, I didn't like the wolves when it first came out. It was even harder to watch last night because there's such bad CGI on the wolves. Yeah. Even at the time, I was like, wow, that doesn't look right.
Well, and there are definitely those moments, but overall, I think the effects, for the most part, still hold up. I mean, when the water's coming through the street and things like that, I think there's a lot that still really holds up. And Val, you're right. The scene where everything starts freezing over is really, really cool looking. Like, I could watch videos of stuff freezing over like that for hours. There's just something like cool about watching that frost climb up. I mean, obviously, I don't want to really see that in real life, but to that scale.
That's like something you'd see on Good Mythical Morning.
Well, yeah. At the time, we were still living in a country where, the United States was untouchable. Like nothing could move us, right? We're number one, we're untouchable. America's the best. And then all of a sudden we're taken down 9/11. By this. I mean, but before that, like this movie showed how frail we are, but it's like Mother Nature, AKA ourselves. Yeah. If you really deep dive into it, that takes ourselves down, because he goes to the government and says, this is going to happen. We need to tell people. And that's kind of one of those things that happens in a lot of these disaster movies, right? Is that almost every disaster movie I've ever seen, you have a scientist that's trying to tell the government that something bad is going to happen, that they know about it. And then they try and push it off. They don't want like mass hysteria. They want to get down. It's just too many people. Yeah. Or 2001. Right.
Yeah.
2021. Also another just crazy movie that is crazy. Anyways, we won't get into that one, but that one's a little crazy. Also, you have, some people that are just not believing it. And then you find out it's because they've known about it forever and they just wanted to get the top 1% saved in boats. You know what I mean? So for me, it was kind of cool because you're like, so we're untouchable, but this, like, we didn't expect this. We're always looking at the people who want to take us down, but like,
and it's interesting because I think that parallels how America felt. And it's interesting, Val, because I was reading this morning, Roland Emmerich was actually really hesitant to make this movie. He'd been thinking about it for a while, and they were getting ready to go into production, and 9/11 happened. And so he was like, is this the right kind of message? Do I want a disaster? But they said that when they screened it in New York and the crowd started cheering when the water started running in, he was like, okay, we're good.
So it was really soon after, for sure.
Yeah, it was. And I wonder if that delayed it a year or so, or, because 2001, it came out in 2004. I don't know. Yeah. But there's definitely some over the top moments, like when you've got a politician who's putting the economy ahead of the livelihood and like the safety of the people. Like, I just don't see that happening in real life ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just, when he says the climate's very fragile, he said, well, I hate to tell you this, Professor Hall, but the economy is very fragile. Nobody's ever say that.
No.
But what I was thinking about watching this movie, because it does bring in a lot of that kind of discussion about, when you put people into a panic, the political side of things and whatever. But I also thought what was interesting is you do see a lot of examples of, like you said, Val, the little people, but you see a lot of examples of people coming together and trying to help each other. And there's not a question of, did you vote this way or did you do this? And I think the reality is, in a situation like this, that's how we, the normal everyday folk, are going to react.
Yes.
If I can help my neighbor, I will. There's going to be exceptions to that, but I think overwhelmingly the majority of people would stop to help each other where they could. And I think that's one thing that I take away from movies like this, is when you see people kind of come together from different walks of life and realize, I want to believe that's how we would react today.
Yeah.
I also like it because it's a story about like a kid that believes no matter what, like his dad is going to get there. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have the best relationship because his dad's kind of MIA a lot. But he's like, he's coming. And then when the scene where he shows up and they're all just hiding away next to the fire in this room, I just thought that was cool. I don't think we see that a lot in movies. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like dads get a bad rap in movies, but I thought this was pretty cool. In a time where both the parents were kind of heroes. Like, the mom wasn't going to leave this kid behind, you know? Right. And I thought that was such a powerful scene, because those are those little moments, again, those little moments that I feel like they focused on, that when a disaster happens, we don't think about that. Like, who stays at the hospital when they're evacuating everyone? You know, like, somebody has to stay to make sure everybody gets out. Who is that person? And I know it's a cheesy movie, but like, it is those little things that keeps the heart in the movie for me. And like, in a big city like New York City, they don't let homeless people in. And especially if they have dogs, they're not going to let you into a library. So how bad does it have to be to let someone in danger into a public place just because you feel like you have the higher power? You know what I mean? And so it's just, again, just there's these little like realistic moments in this outrageous movie that kind of keep me connected with what I'm watching. When they are going across the country to get his son, and his best friend cuts himself off and falls through the mall. That's a freaking awesome scene.
Frank, now can we just say, if we were to use our friend Craig Price and Cast Off, I would recast Frank with Will Ferrell, because they could have been brothers.
Do you say Will Ferrell?
Will Ferrell.
I feel like Frank's a better actor in this moment.
He's got the kind of tight curly hair and he reminded me absolutely of. I'm like, if you had Will Ferrell, like from the serious Will Ferrell, not the silly one, you know, I'm like
the 1% Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Now I want to cast off against you in this movie, because I think
you guys should request it, and I'll be one of the judges.
I'm going up against Tommy Noble, friend of the program from Fan.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I just went up against some guy named Paul Hitchcock and anyway, that's going to air in August. Okay. He's a friend of Cast Off as well. So anyway, Excellent. I would love to do that though, because I was thinking more like David Harbour would be a good Frank.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking in terms of like the look, like he just reminds me of Will Ferrell.
No, see, I think he looks more like David Harbour. Now I need to go back and watch this movie, because I'm thinking, am I not?
No, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, I gotta go back and relook. Okay, that's what made me think of it last night. So things could change
in the daylight.
In the daylight.
And you know, you did have like realistic moments where everyone that was trying to survive in the library had to decide, like, do we stay here or do we go? And it was a split decision. And you know,
again, they don't listen to the scientist's son, where he's like, don't do it, and they did it anyway.
Yeah, but to be fair, like, his only credential was my dad works at the whatever, and they're like, I mean, that's the equivalent of like, no, we shouldn't do this, and I'm an expert because my dad works in a restaurant, that we shouldn't eat this food because my dad works in a restaurant, or my dad's a doctor, so I know what to do. Well, I mean, like, your dad would know what to do, but do you, 17-year-old kid, really know what to do?
Yeah. I thought it was a fair moment. Like, like, do we get out of here and try and save our lives, or do we stay here?
No, I agree with that.
Yeah. So I just, you know, like, that was also like, who would you decide at that moment to listen to? Because most people are going to listen in that moment and not make their own decision. And that is like a human nature thing. You know what I mean? Like, not all of us in that kind of stressful moment have a leadership ability to say, this is the right thing to do. Most of us are looking for someone who can guide us in the right direction, right? And so you kind of ask yourself, who would you be in that situation, and which choice would you make? And it's a hard choice.
Or would you be the Quaid? Or would you be the vice president?
I don't think I'm ever going to be the vice president.
Not with that attitude.
All right.
They don't get to sleep in.
That's true. Well, the vice president might get to. The president, I don't think really.
Not the current one.
Well,
there's already too much sleeping going in the White House right now. We all know he takes naps. I'm not saying anything political. He is an old man who needs to take some naps.
I'm an old man who needs to take more naps. Yes, I did not appreciate naps in grade school as much as I should have.
Oh, or the cheese sticks and snack time.
Oh, yeah.
Like all the things that we used to have to do, we used to get forced to do in kindergarten are the things I really want to spend time doing right now.
Yeah. Yep. These kids, they have no idea how easy they've got it.
They don't get it. All right, let's give this a grade. I'll start this week. I'm going to give it a B. I'm going to give it B. I like this more than I liked Independence Day. I feel like there's just a little bit more story, a little bit more heart to it. And overall, I think a lot of the effects still really hold up. Wolves notwithstanding, I think most of the effects still really hold up well. And to me, the fact that there's not a clear antagonist and that the antagonist is nature, to me, that kind of ups the danger factor for me and ups the ante a little bit, and makes me a little bit more invested, because to me, that makes it more, wow, something like this could happen. It won't, and it can't, but not to this extreme at that speed. But it is something that to me, I felt like ups the stakes a little bit.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a B as well. I feel the same about that.
No, please.
I think I'm on delay.
I was going to let
computer's on delay today. I mean, no, we already know that you're going to trash this movie. But no, I really like this movie. This is when you say what's one of your favorite disaster movies, this one will come up all the time for me. And again, I think it has a lot of heart. There's a lot of cool things to watch where you're just like, that is cool. If they ever had like a come see this on the big screen, again, I would go see it, because I don't think I originally saw it on the big screen, because this is when my little was really little, so there wasn't a lot that I saw in the theater that wasn't like a Disney movie. So yeah, for me, it's a solid B. I do enjoy it a little bit more than the other movie as well, Independence Day, because I don't know, I just feel like it's more watchable. Like Independence Day is a big deal, and it's like one of those that you're always going to remember. But I feel like if they're both streaming, I'm gonna pick this one.
See, I'd pick Independence Day. I think that's a funner movie.
Funner's not a word.
Funner, yeah, it is. I just made it happen. Funner. It's a funner. It's a more enjoyable to me. It's I think this one, if you're going to go big with this, like they are, like have some more big personality actors. There's a lot of very low key acting in this. And it's like, you get Dennis Quaid being the stoic hero, which is great. And I like him in this role, but I'm just like, we need, and I like Ian Holm, but I kind of want a little more eccentricity, a little more, I like a Jeff Goldblum, bring a little bit more flavor to the party. I'm going to give it a C. It's not one that I love or enjoy, but like we've talked about, I mean, it's got some decent special effects. Dennis Quaid, it's hard to give him a bad grade. So yeah, it's just kind of okay for me. I'm not a big Roland Emmerich fan. We mentioned this last week. Independence Day is my favorite of his. The rest of them, I'm like, and it's weird because this should be right in my wheelhouse, but for some reason, a lot of his films just don't hit with me.
All right, so next week we'll do the 1990s Godzilla movie. We'll just keep trying to find Emmerich movies to do.
Matthew Broderick.
So speaking of movies to see on the big screen that I would love to do, E.T. is coming out on IMAX for the 40th anniversary, and that's a can't miss. Like I've never seen it on the big screen, at least not that I remember, because it came out the year I was born. So maybe my parents took me when I was a baby. I don't know, but
I saw it in a drive-in theater. That's like one of the first movies I saw at a drive-in with my family.
Nice.
Yeah. But that's just such a classic masterpiece.
Go check that one out on the big screen.
Yeah.
So
I'd be
anyway,
okay with that.
Cool.
But also, speaking of movies to see on the big screen, Sharknado July 21st, Brewvies, 7 p.m. Come on down. We're excited. Everything goes to American Cancer Society.
Yeah. And this is an experience, an event you don't want to miss, even if it's a movie you want to miss. I promise you will have fun.
Go into it thinking you're going to have your own personal MST3K moment, and then you'll enjoy it. Yes.
Yeah.
This is something that if people want to talk back to the screen, I hate people talking during a movie, and this one, go nuts. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It's going to be fun. All right. So until July 21st, we won't see you at the movies. Thanks for watching and listening.
This has been a Stolen Droids Media production.